Parles-tu français?
¿Hablas español?
Parla italiano.
If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based technique teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/listen. Spelled BABBEL.com/listen. Rules and restrictions may apply.
You know those $4 prebiotic sodas everyone's drinking? They're basically expensive sugar water for most people. Here's why. Prebiotics feed the good bacteria in your gut. But if your gut doesn't have enough good bacteria, those prebiotics are feeding, well, nothing. Hi, I'm Tina, co-founder of Just Thrive Probiotic. When my family struggled with digestive issues, I discovered something shocking. Most probiotics can't survive your stomach acid. They die before reaching your gut, which means your prebiotics have nothing to fuel. Just Thrive is different. It's the only probiotic clinically proven to arrive 100% alive in your gut. When your gut finally has living, thriving probiotics, that means real relief from gas and bloating, healthy immunity, better sleep, clear skin, and the energy to crush your goals. Plus, Just Thrive comes as a capsule or gummy with a lifetime money-back guarantee. Visit justthrivehealth.com/podcast and use code POD20 for 20% off.
Heyo, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. Midway through Super Bowl week, getting closer to Patriots Seahawks. Yeah, that is the Super Bowl. Crazy. Dan Hanzus, Marc Sessler, Justin Graver on the ones and twos. Another big one today, Mark. We have, we covered the Seahawks side of things with Michael Sean Dugar on our Monday program. Today, we're blessed to have Chad Graff, who covers the Patriots beautifully for The Athletic. So we're going to talk about the New England side of things. We also have our good buddy Baldy chiming in somewhere deep in the Cayman Islands, perhaps, to give his thoughts on Super Bowl 60. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, equal time to both teams. That's how we operate, with a little dash of Baldy on top. And we don't know what he's up to. He's an adventure seeker.
He's a man that we all wish we could be. I think it's one of those things. Let's be very clear about it. Mark, I've thought about, as we get into things today, we play a lot of games, a lot of competitions on the show. And there is a through line that typically you don't come out on top in these competitions.
I do not.
Typically, no. And it's not a reflection on you as a person or as a ball knower. It's just that's the way it goes sometimes. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Well, it could be a reflection on the system that I'm dealing with.
That is something someone would say. Someone would say if they were to lose many, many competitions in a row. But all that said, what I'm here to do as your friend and broadcast partner is give you another opportunity in a game. How about that?
I like it as I typically these are like, let's ask Mark open-ended questions about something that he's got to jog his memory on in the middle of the show. And it's like, I will fail massively.
Let's keep it. This is part of the problem. It's a confidence issue. Flush all that negativity. Okay. We are going to be victorious because as we talk about why we do what we do, does the name, the Marquis de Sade, jog any memories for you, Mark?
Yeah, a historical figure who I think was into self-pain and pain for others, something along those lines.
Yes. Also, the alter ego of one Christopher Mad Dog Russo during the iconic Super Bowl trivia that the WFAN program, Mike and the Mad Dog, used to roll out every January. So what we're going to do is our own version of the Marquis de Sade right now. Get ready, Mark. If you win this competition, you will win our respect.
Well, this feels like an unfurling nightmare, but let's proceed.
All right, great. So, and let me I'm going to add a couple of things here. I'm going to give you one lifeline. I really want you to win, Mark. We're going to give you a lifeline. That lifeline, I don't know if you see this as a positive or a negative, but it's our producer, Justin Graver. So if you feel stumped or you feel unsure, you could use your lifeline for Justin. Okay. And maybe he could bail you out. So let's get into it. Right now, we got Mark from Surrey. Mark, what kind of fan are you?
Well, historically, I am a Cleveland Browns fan.
Oofa. How'd that happen?
A series of childhood mistakes. I had a friend move into town when I was in about 6th grade and convinced me, instead of rooting for Bill Parcells and the New York Giants in 1986, jump on Bernie Kosar's Cleveland Browns train. And that train went off a cliff against the Broncos in the AFC title game, and I've never looked back.
Look at that. Good decision making, but everything's going to change starting right here. Gravy, hit the music. 5 questions. You get 5. You get 5 in a row. You win our respect.
5 in a row.
Remember, you have Gravy as a lifeline.
Okay.
He is extremely knowledgeable. This wide receiver scored the walk-off touchdown in overtime of the Chiefs' Super Bowl 58 win over the 49ers.
Oh, my memory is terrible.
This
I am
Chiefs wide receiver.
I can see the play.
Cut loose from.
I know, from the
one
Jets.
Of our favorite teams.
From the Jets. Mecole Hardman.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That's correct.
I have to say, like, this is like when I watch these shows, I'm like so glad I'm on a couch, but here I am in the middle of this with people from actually Surrey, England watching this. But
you're getting there. That's 1 down.
Okay.
Next up. Mark from Surrey. Name the Raiders Pro Bowl center who went on a bender and disappeared to Mexico on the eve of the team's Super Bowl matchup against the Buccaneers.
Oh, was it Barton? Oh, was it Scott? Wait. Like Scott Barton? No.
Is that your final answer? Or do you want to use a lifeline?
I'll use a lifeline. I hate that. It's like
Okay, now, Justin was a young boy, teenager perhaps, in this game, when this game took place.
He would have been young.
Justin, what do you think it is? And then, Mark, you could take that as his answer and use it, or you could disregard
if I hear it, I'll know it.
Yeah.
It's funny because you said Scott. There is a prominent fantasy football analyst named Scott Barrett, and I'm pretty sure the answer to this question is Barrett Robbins. Barrett Robbins. That's what I will give you, Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Barrett Robbins, final answer?
Yeah.
That's correct.
I was playing around with Barrett and Scott and all this business.
You sure were, buddy.
I mean, if someone were to walk in this room and take me out with a rifle, like, I would not be upset at the moment. This is like not...
Next.
This is...
Come on, Sessy. Take it home, buddy. You're going to be the winner.
I haven't even gotten out of the garage.
Who was the leading rusher of the Washington team that went 15-2 and trounced the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 26?
Oh, it was a rookie, I believe. No, he was, yeah.
It was not a rookie.
Oh, it's Ernest Biner.
Final answer?
Yes.
That is correct. I threw you a little bone there. Helped you out.
I was thinking for a minute of the 87 team that scored 35 points in the second quarter. But yeah, Ernest Biner, he got his Super Bowl after all those missed AFC title games after the fumble.
See how we do that?
Well, that felt like a little bit of catnip from Mark. If my memory were working, it's like you can't ask me what I was doing 3 hours ago.
What happened to that memory? That will be another deep dive after this competition.
It has to do with the fact that I have like a assault rifle aimed at my head during this exercise in public. But yeah.
All right. The next question. Should we make the video clue? Video clue. Watch this. And listen.
You're not a guy who makes excuses, and I know that. And John Madden said, doesn't look like that. I know. Is there something wrong with him? Was there anything wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong. I just, wasn't firing real well today and wasn't on target. And then we had some mistakes that killed us and took us out of some drives. And you can't do that against Montana in that offense because they were awesome today.
Who is speaking in that post-game interview after a blowout loss to Joe Montana and the 49ers?
John Elway.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is correct. Oh, baby. 4 down. And this is for all the marbles, Sessy.
Oh, my God.
Put away all the assault rifles because now it's time for glory. The final question. It's not going to be an easy one. The Marquis de Sade asks you this. You're aware of Malcolm Butler and the iconic goal line interception that allowed the Patriots to sneak by the Seahawks back in Super Bowl 49 on the eve of the rematch between these two teams. Russell Wilson was the quarterback. Malcolm Butler, the defender who made the play. Who was Russell Wilson's intended receiver?
I'm going to go Tyler Lockett.
Is that your final answer?
Right over the middle. I feel like it'd be a tight end or something. Yeah, I'm going to go Tyler Lockett. It's the first thing that came to mind. I don't want to outthink myself.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
so close.
Who was it?
Ricardo Lockett, I believe it was.
gee.
I can't remember if it was Ricardo Lockett or Lockett, but that. So you were right.
Well, I can
church,
safely
wrong
say
cue.
we would not have dialed up that name in the next couple of seconds, but.
But you were right there. Like your mind had that name.
Yeah, well, I think Lockett had made that huge play to get down there, if I'm not mistaken, and then hell came through the earth for them, for the Seahawks. But I don't know. 4 out of 5. I feel one was a lifeline, but I feel vaguely out of the woods.
I'm proud of you, buddy. That was not easy, and you did well. And even the one for all the marbles, you were just off by a little bit. So. All right, maybe we'll bring it back next year, and maybe you'll take it down. You looking forward to that next year, or is that going to?
Well, I
be
think maybe next year
days?
I'll ask the questions next year. We'll turn up the temperature in your studio a little bit.
That sounds great. Now we got a tradition. All
Okay.
right, till Super Bowl 61, we turn in, and the Marquis de Sade, reborn, walks away. All right, let's. Before we get to Chad Graff, shall we do a little bit of news, Sessy?
Oh, well, I think that's appropriate. We cover everything that we need to cover with joy.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Let's hit it.
Is this a must-win game?
A must-win? Yeah, I think every time we go out is a must-win game. I mean, it's kind of the attitude that I've always taken in the National Football League.
Duh.
Dave Damashek on media night asking various players and coaches, is the Super Bowl a must-win game? I mean, it has, and I texted Dave this yesterday. I feel like this is the year, Sessy, that it graduated to kind of like this, almost a rite of passage of every Super Bowl, like something that people expect and look forward to. I know it got play on SportsCenter. It was a pretty quiet media night in terms of viral content. And yet here's Dave asking that same question yet again and getting the juice.
I do think because it was a little bit of a more hushed media night that it had a nice runway there, but it's amazing to see how it bubbled up. Like on Twitter yesterday, everyone hit it. And he's been doing this. I mean, I literally stood next to him and as of you back in the day where he's asking the question and you just want to be there to watch him do it. And it seems to somehow catch like players and coaches by surprise every time that they don't know what to do with it. But like Dave this time hit it out of the park and he's getting the attention he deserves for it.
Can you play it again? I want to hear Vrabel's response because I feel like he kind of answers it in a real way.
Right.
Is this a must-win game?
A must-win? Yeah, I think every time we go out is a must-win game. I mean, it's kind of the attitude that I've always taken in the National Football League.
He tags it with in the National Football
I mean,
League.
he's looking a little dismissive answering that.
A little bit.
Like,
Also, a little bit of cruise control. Like, this is... I feel like whenever any coach or player ends something with in the National Football League, it's probably a cruise control answer.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
also
I mean?
to suggest you're not part of that league. I mean, there was a year too where, speaking of the Patriots, where Sheck was amazingly walking around the room. I think he spent like 60 minutes doing this, asking players, teammates, and Jimmy G himself, who was hotter, Tom Brady or Jimmy G. And like it just that, these things take off because there's so much malarkey at these events. But Sheck is a staple of integrity.
Absolutely. Always has been, always will be. All right, let's get into it. Roger Goodell had his press conference, his annual Super Bowl press conference that, always leads to some news coming out of the press conference. Sometimes who's our old friend that always used to ask him the combative questions?
The Jim Trotter?
Yeah, but the necessary
Trotter?
questions
Yep.
about the league's diversity issues in the coaching ranks and even in our own newsroom, which always used to be the best part because I remember being in the newsroom when Trotter, who was from our newsroom as a reporter, was asking the question as a league employee to the commissioner. And just watching all the bosses around just tied up in knots. Be like, how do we do this? What's happening?
Right.
Is he going to get fired? No, he can't get fired. What's going to happen next? And I think we missed that this year, if I'm not mistaken. But we did get another uncomfortable question for Mr. Goodell, Commissioner Goodell, in the form of Steve Tisch, the co-owner of the Giants, who was named in the Epstein files, and that was revealed over the weekend. Here is the question and Goodell's quite uncomfortable response.
Hi, Roger. Last week, release of some of Jeffrey Epstein's emails indicated repeated exchanges with Giants co-owner Steve Tisch. To what extent will the NFL look further into those exchanges, and could Steve Tisch be subject to discipline under the personal conduct policy?
Well, you may be getting ahead of yourself on the second part, but I would say that absolutely, we are going to look at all the facts. We're going to look at the context of those. We're going to try to understand that, and we'll look at how that falls under the policy. But I think we take one step at a time. Let's get the facts first.
Yeah, are you sure you want the facts, Rog? This is a spicy tamale, Sessy. The NFL. And one of its great organizations, the co-owner, connected directly to a convicted sex offender, and you just wonder what this means and what could happen in terms of the ripple effect.
Yeah, and I think that the first ill move by Steve Tisch in this was to put out a release trying to explain this away, which was just horribly written. And did no service to the Giants.
I read it?
Yeah, like it's a disaster.
Here it is. We had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women and adult women. We discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with.
Look, based on what's in those files, if they are verbatim, that's not true. And that wasn't, your friendship was not innocent and you just discovering that he was a terrible person. This is like the last thing that John Mara, who is going through a massive life and health crisis of his own, needs. But I think this is a story that could spin out of control if the NFL tries to shove it aside, tries to undermine it with a bunch of words and let's check out the facts. Like, this matters. This matters to people. And if you want to embrace all types of fans, all types of people, and say this league stands for something, like how they handle this, eyes on it, because I think it matters a lot.
And just by background, former Carolina Panthers and Washington Commanders owners Jerry Richardson and Dan Snyder were both fined by the NFL after investigations into workplace misconduct. I don't know if that falls under this, but perhaps it does. Richardson was fined $2.75 million and later was basically forced to sell the team. Snyder was fined $60 million by the league. Tisch, 76 years old. In addition to being the co-owner and VP of the Giants, he's a major Hollywood producer, and he's caught up in these files. And it's pretty crazy that he is.
And what does a fine do? What does a fine do for these people? Like, that to me is like the most absurd, hollow slap on the wrist. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what the NFL does to wrap this up.
Yeah, keep an eye on this story. All right, let's go to some lighter fare, some Super Bowl related storylines. Let's start here, Mark. A Massachusetts town is getting into the Super Bowl spirit, according to WFTV 9, changing its name to honor New England Patriots quarterback Drake Maye. On Super Bowl Sunday, the town of Maye-nard will be renamed Maye-nard. The town in Middlesex County is located about 20 miles west of Boston, about 53 miles south of Foxborough, where the Pats play their home games. How about that, Mark?
I'm blown away by the news. It's an exciting time. I looked up this town, and if people are interested, it was settled as a farming community by Puritan colonists who, now the way they word it is like they worked out a deal with the local Native Americans to take over the town. I'm sure they worked out a deal, but have a nice time, Maye-nard.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where, yeah, you want to get ahead of it, and you want to get the publicity during Super Bowl week. But, I don't know. Was there a town? I don't want to tip my hand about who I'm picking this week, but was there a town ahead of Super Bowl 20 that renamed themselves like Groganville? And how do they feel about it by like the third quarter of the game on Sunday?
Yeah, you got the sign maker there taking the sign down.
I would just say, yeah, just like head on a swivel, Parks and Recreation, and anyone that's involved with signage in that town. That would be my take on that.
Yeah, it's a good signage. It's a good signage instruction for Maye-nard.
Little signage related PSA. In other news, Mike Vrabel Dong update. He keeps getting asked about it, and he keeps talking about it. And to Vrabel's credit, he's not shying away from it. He was on, what is this, Justin? This is your boy, right?
Yeah, this is Bussin' with the Boys, hosted by former Tennessee Titans Taylor Lewan and Will Compton, who Mike Vrabel jokingly referred to as his two boys or his two sons, maybe, during the opening night media stuff. So,
okay, cool. So they, I think this is where all this started. I think, did he say it on this program initially?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the follow-up now that Vrabel's been asked about his comment about his, if the Patriots would win a Super Bowl, he would do something to himself in a very private area. Here is, yes.
Well, that's not, it was, would you, the original question was, would you cut off your manhood, essentially, to win a Super Bowl? Like, if that's what it took to win a Super Bowl, would you do it? And he said yes way back when, and now it's because they're in the Super Bowl, it's being brought back up.
Justin is all over this beat.
Okay, let's hear the latest on this. Dongate.
How many times have you been asked this week about that?
Just a couple. I mean, somebody asked me in Boston.
Yeah? What was your answer to them?
I'd probably cut it in half.
Okay.
Leave her 6.
What is happening here? I'd cut it in half and leave her 6. This is the head coach of the New England Patriots.
Well, I could think of a different industry he could be a part of if that is accurate, if this doesn't work out.
All right, so this is all right, Mike. Just, you don't have to answer the questions anymore, bud. You could just be like, guys, it was a joke. I said it 4 months ago. What was the famous Belichick line? And we're on to Cincinnati.
Right.
Yeah, we're on to Seattle. I think that will be our last update on Dongate, but I'm not sure. Meanwhile, in hell, real quick on this one, Mark, I know you wanted to talk about the Cleveland Browns, who introduced Todd Monken as their new head coach. Do you want to tee up some sound here?
Yeah, let's just play this. Let's play this from his introductory presser. Very emotional.
Shit. Told myself I wasn't going to cry, for God's sakes. I want to thank my mom and dad, no longer with us, my brothers, Tony and Ted.
Okay, so I just want to say something real quick, because I think the biggest news out of this was that it sounds like Jim Schwartz is not coming back to the Browns, and that he didn't fold the tent, Todd Monken, on that one. In fact, was pretty strong about the fact that like he's here to coach the players, not to scheme against Jim Schwartz. That was the biggest newser. But what I felt as a Browns fan, because it's hard to feel hope right now, right? For those of us that root for these teams in the middle of nowhere. I have watched like 18 Browns opening press conferences with new coaches. This one made me feel something a little bit different. I think this coach is the right kind of coach to go through what's going to be a very dark year. I still think that they're going to be the youngest team in the league. They're very much in Tankville. But Todd Monken, to me, just brought sort of an emotional intelligence, a gruff badassery type, no nonsense vibe. It's like, I get that we have a bunch of 35-year-olds who are like whiz kids out there running like chalkboards, but like Todd Monken has just been around. He reminds me of an old school coach that just like can relate to people, and he's going to push this team. And I left feeling like, I think they got the right guy for this team at this time. And I know that we all going to talk ourselves into this stuff, but it's like, good. I kind of like this guy. He gave me a little bit of a version of Bill Parcells, kind of 1980s, 90s. I'm not saying he's Bill Parcells, but that kind of like approach to the players, and approach to the team, and approach to what could be a long year or two before they're back where they need to be. That's my statement. I'm trying to feel some hope.
Good. Who am I to try to take hope away from you? And you know, if hopefully he is the right guy.
We'll see.
I mean, Jimmy Haslam coming out and being like, he was our top choice all along. It's like, again, the fingerprints of the incompetent, some of the most incompetent people in the entire industry being involved with the hire makes me dubious that this is going to work. But I know you're not alone, because Browns fans seem to be totally on board with the hire. And I
just think about the fact that I think he was like the least exciting name in that mix. And then no one really had an idea of his personality. And that's changed a lot for Browns fans in the last 4 or 5 days. That's just now, though. You got to go win games. But like, I've seen a major shift in the Browns fandom of like, wait a minute, this guy is kind of like Cleveland AFC North football. He had that kind of
I've noticed that on a couple like subreddit threads. I sent out a tweet that was just like, Browns fans like are all in on this hire and believe. I don't know. I guess the thing that surprised me based on the Browns fan temperature, and then you as well on this, is like I don't know. Like, I feel like I've been, from my own perspective, as we introduce like Frank Reich, for instance, as the offensive coordinator of the Jets, like at a certain point, just like, well, this isn't going to work. Like, you know, it's not going to work. But Browns fans, maybe it's the Midwestern sensibilities of it all. Like, you guys still believe that good things can happen. So,
well, this is a results-free moment in time, right? I become a kid again when I watch these introductory pressers, and all the hard scrabbled BS that one has been through watching the actual football games kind of melts away for a couple days. Mm-hmm. And I'm in that space. And am I vulnerable?
I want to let you have that, Mark.
Well, am I vulnerable, and will I be hurt again? Yes, I will.
But yes, he won the press conference. Ow! He cried. He wins. All right, good. By the way, Matt Nagy, who struck out in his attempts to get a head coaching job, benefited from the Monken hire in the sense that Monken was supposed to be the OC up for the Giants with Harbaugh, traveling up there to join John Harbaugh. But when Monken gets hired by the Browns, it leaves that OC post open for the Giants, and he is now the Giants' offensive coordinator. So it will be Nagy tasked with developing Jackson Dart. So there you go there. And finally in the news, the Pro Bowl happened. It was a thing. The NFC won 66-52, and everyone had a great time. I was surprised. Like I gave it the test, because this is another thing. Don't want to be too cynical about it. The Pro Bowl is ridiculous or whatever, but like, it's kind of for kids, So I went out to dinner with my wife and sons, and then when we got back, it was like, you guys want to check out the Pro Bowl? And flipped it on, and it was like the third quarter, and it held their attention for about 6 minutes, and then they were off. So it didn't grasp my children, but maybe there are demographics. I'm curious how the ratings were for it. It just seemed pretty low rent, honestly. Like a game that used to be played in like Honolulu Stadium for years in a packed house. It was in what felt like a part of the convention center somewhere with bleachers up, with like 3 or 4 rows of bleachers around it. It very much is now transitioned into a TV event rather than something that's there as a spectacle. But that all matches up the sniff test with what has happened to the Pro Bowl in the last decade or so.
Yeah, it just needs to go away. I watched probably 20 minutes of it in various forms, and I don't know who it's serving. I don't
know if it needs to go away. It's just it's not for us as like football fans. So then it's like, okay, who is it catering to? Like when
but
I
it's
say
not for your
fans,
kids
like,
either. It sounds like.
Well, not mine in particular, but maybe someone's out there that enjoy. Let us know. Sound off in the comments. Did you watch the Pro Bowl games? Did you like them? It was cool seeing like. I was actually a little surprised with some of this. Like Joe Burrow was there because all the news is like 2 Browns quarterbacks are in the Pro Bowl, and it was like, oh my God, and all this stuff. But then there's Joe Burrow, there's Dak Prescott, there's Micah Parsons rolling in a scooter onto the field at one point,
taking photos of cheerleaders. Like,
there's Puka Nacua scoring a touchdown. There's star power, which makes me think like maybe there is something here. There's all these like many of the best players in football are there, right? So how do we make this entertaining? It's not our job to figure it out, and they haven't gotten there yet, but they're working on it, Mark. They're working on it.
I thought it was a huge step for Shedeur Sanders. He played an excellent game from what I saw outside of multiple interceptions, apparently, but 66-52. What are we doing here?
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we talk Pats with Chad Graff. You know, whenever I'm traveling with other people, I almost always book a stay on Airbnb because it just makes the whole trip better. Recently, we took a trip with the family, and instead of squeezing into a hotel, we stayed in a home on Airbnb, right in a local neighborhood. We had actual space, multiple bedrooms, a living room to hang out in, and a full kitchen where we made breakfast together before heading out for the day.
Yep, that's the big difference for me. When you book with Airbnb, you're not just sleeping somewhere, you're staying somewhere. You got more privacy, more room, and a place that feels lived in. Plus, being in a neighborhood instead of a tourist zone made the trip feel more authentic, like we were getting a real sense for the city, Dan.
That's right, Mark. On my trip, we even booked a guest favorite, the most loved homes on Airbnb. That's how I roll, and marked with a badge for their top ratings. And that experience completely lived up to the expectations. Everyone could relax, spread out, and actually enjoy the trip. And I have to say, when you have the kids with you, as I do, Airbnb is a must over a hotel because in an Airbnb, the kids' bedtime doesn't have to be your bedtime.
Yeah, whether it's friends, family, or a group getaway, having a home-like place just makes everything easier and a lot more memorable. Book your next stay with Airbnb.
When we started this podcast, it felt like we had to figure out everything out on our own. Scripts, setup, logo, scheduling, and a million other little decisions that kept piling up every day. It was a little bit overwhelming, and honestly, it felt a bit lonely wearing all these hats at once. That's why having Shopify as a business partner makes such a difference.
Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. From household names to brands just getting off the ground, you can get started with your own design studio, choosing from hundreds of ready-to-use templates to build a beautiful online store that matches your brand perfectly.
That's right, Mark. And when it comes to efficiency, Shopify has helpful AI tools that can write product descriptions, create page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Need to get the word out? Shopify makes it easy to launch email and social media campaigns like you have a full marketing team behind you. And if you ever get stuck, their award-winning 24/7 support is always there to help.
Yeah, with everything from inventory to payments to analytics, all in one place, running your business has never been smoother.
So start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/HTC. go to shopify.com/HTC. That's shopify.com/HTC. All right, we are back. Oh, man. It is time to welcome in a guest that we are very excited to have on the program. He covers the New England Patriots for The Athletic. He is an adjunct professor at my alma mater, Northeastern University, and he is joining Heed the Call for the first time. Chad Graff, what's up, buddy? Welcome.
Wow, didn't know we had a fellow Boston guy, a Northeastern guy in here. Yeah, this is exciting.
Yes, yeah.
He's a Yankees fan, but
I'm a New York guy that went to school in Boston, but I think everything's going to be fine here,
right next
Chad.
to Fenway, too. Did you ever sneak in for like a $5 beer night or something that they would do for the college kids?
Yeah, we did plenty of that, and I got out of there right before New England started relentlessly winning championships, so it was the last of a dying anti-empire up there. But thanks for joining us here, Chad, and this is a very interesting Patriots team, obviously. This is a team that nobody saw coming, and to me, that's like one of the great mysteries. Like, let's just to set it up. The Pats, first in EPA per play this season against the schedule that, as we've heard, it's been gone over and over, not a tough one. Then the three playoff teams, Chargers, Texans, Broncos. The offense now struggles in these games, but then the defense steps up and gets the job done. There's multiple weather games involved, so if you're trying to say, well, was the offense now exposed in the playoffs? Well, there was some really bad weather as well, so you throw in a random Drake Maye shoulder injury, and I'm just messed up in the head about this Patriots team. How special are they?
Well, totally. And I will even take it one step back beyond that. When we were talking about Boston sports becoming this evil empire, the Patriots have been the evil empire. They've been the Yankees. They've been the team with the head coach who is obnoxious for other fans to watch. And then what's fascinating to me about this group is this Patriots team is kind of likable. Like, they have become, and I know this sounds crazy, and I know there are going to be lots of people who are like, get the F out of here. A team cannot have 6 Super Bowls and be like the fun, likable group in the Super Bowl. But Drake Maye is likable. He's married to his 7th grade sweetheart who bakes cookies for the whole team. Like, the coach is out there hugging players until his lip is bloodied. This has become a fun team. And I think as you come into, looking at how in the world this team went from 4-13 to the Super Bowl, it's because they hit on everything. The coaching staff has been awesome. They went from like 0 experience, which was a major fault of the singular year with Gerard Mayo, to 3 different guys on this, coaching staff have had experience. Tom Brett was a coach. So they have tons of experience there. They hit on their free agency class in a big, big way with everybody they signed. Basically, I think you could have squinted at the time and said, okay, maybe 1 or 2 of these is going to, they've all worked. And then they have an 11-person draft class, and that draft class has been very good. All 11 members of the draft class are still on the roster, including the 7th round picks, plus 2 other undrafted guys. So they have 13 rookies on this team, which is pretty crazy for a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because it's not just like a Patriots hater, like I've been in the past, very like loud and proud on this show. That old team was easy to hate. And this team, not as easy to hate, the personnel on it. And then you can say this team's so lucky. I don't know if it's lucky, but there is something almost mystical, magical about how everything they've done, from the rookie class to the free agency class to the quarterback progression to the decision with the head coach, like everything in the season has locked into place. And I wonder, like, even though the Seahawks seem like the better football team, it would be too script in this fairy tale season for them just to win the whole damn thing at this point.
Well, and what's been amazing, like, even though the Patriots' schedule wasn't that great, and you can carry that into the playoffs, I think you look at a lot of those matchups that they had, and 2 through 53, if you're looking at the 53-man roster, the other team probably had better guys 2 through 52, certainly in the playoffs. But it's all started with the quarterback. Drake Maye has been either the MVP or he'll finish second in MVP voting. He has been incredible. And Mike Vrabel has been like this game management savant, which is bizarre for a guy who had like this reputation for being the meathead who was out chirping Tom Brady at practices and the one guy who could talk back to Bill Belichick. Like, that guy has turned into the person who knows how to slowly jog off the defensive players and to manipulate the rules against Belichick when he was with the Titans. So it's both incredible from the coaching perspective, but also that their quarterback has been as good as he's been. So while I still don't think the Patriots roster 2 through 53 is what you would typically think of in a Super Bowl roster, the Patriots in basically every game all season have had the advantage at head coach and quarterback. And at the end of the day, the NFL is a head coach quarterback league.
I'd have a two-part question. Number one, if you've had any of Ann Michael Drake's baking items, but more importantly, did the combination of Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, obviously Drake Maye was a major magnet to taking this job, to taking this on, because you knew that there was something there. Are they surprised at what happened this season in terms of how much he grew? It just seemed like, to your point of everything happening kind of in this one comprised campaign, that Drake Maye just grew before our eyes. I don't know how you could have seen that coming entirely.
Yeah, two things can be true. One, Mike Vrabel really did want the Patriots job because he really was impressed by Drake Maye. Josh McDaniels wanted the Patriots because he really was impressed by Drake Maye. They really truly could be a top 5 quarterback. But the other part of that that's true, they didn't think it was going to happen this year. You give him true serum. Nobody thought he was going to be an MVP candidate. The goal for the Patriots this year was, let's make sure that Drake Maye is the guy. Maybe he's like the 10th best quarterback in the league and we can go from there. And let's win like 8 or 9 games and just get out of this world of sucking and we can start to flip the culture. So they're so far and ahead of everything that they thought they would be. That has been great. I've not been fortunate enough to try any of these cookies. I've heard they're quite good. On the flight, somebody partnered with JetBlue. And so JetBlue was passing out the cookies she made on the plane to San Francisco. All the Patriots fans, I was not flying JetBlue and Delta as good as those Biscoff cookies may be. They were no Ann Michael Maye cookies.
Brilliant marketing there by the JetBlue folks. I was listening to another show you were doing this week, Robert Mays, the Athletic Football Show. You made a great parallel. You said last year as a rookie, Drake Maye was asked to play like playing Madden on an all Madden level, like with the offensive line issues, with the lack of the weapons. So yeah, like you knew the fact that he survived last season and showed what he showed, it gave you a hint that he could be special. But yeah, like again, with everything with this team, no one thought it could go perfectly. Like if there's a 0 to 10 scenario from worst case to best case, feels so many things with this Patriots team has been in that 9 to 10 range from the free agency, the draft, and then the quarterback. I want to
14-15 range.
Yeah, right. I do want to ask you about something I still think doesn't get enough. Like one individual I don't think is getting enough credit for this Patriots turnaround. And it's the guy that reportedly, I think you reported it, is just got snubbed by Hall of Fame voters. It's Robert Kraft. The decision he made to pivot from Jerod Mayo to Vrabel, to me, is the single biggest reason this is happening right now. And you don't often in life, whether it's as an owner, player, regular human, to get a mulligan on a major life decision. He got that opportunity, and then the way that things lined up, he got the opportunity to make that. He ate the money. He ate the crow that came with it. And bringing Vrabel in and saying goodbye to Mayo, that was such a gutsy move to make, and one that took a little bit of a little humble pie that had to be devoured, and that set this whole organization on its path. Do you agree?
Yeah, I get that it can be a little bit cringe to give all the credit to like a multi-billionaire who's at the front and center of the owners' meetings and all of that. Totally understand. And if you don't want to give credit as a fan, I get it. But so many organizations, the kinds that do not have success, quite frankly, would have just written that out. Like he chose Jerod Mayo. This goes back years. Put it in writing in a contract. You are going to succeed Bill Belichick. That's how sure they were that Jerod Mayo was going to be good. And so to go from that, where you are telling everybody, I'm signaling it, I'm putting it in writing, we will not let this guy leave Gillette Stadium because we think he is that. Then you watch him fall flat in his face with a terrible roster. You could have totally come out and said, what did you guys expect? The roster stunk. Belichick left him nothing. The cupboard was bare, and he still won as many games as Belichick did. So like, hey, back off the guy. He's still trending in the right direction. And instead of doing that, said, you know what, I've seen what success looks like. This ain't it. There's a lot of reasons, and there were legit excuses and all of that. But there were a lot of reasons why the Jerod Mayo era went terribly, including all of that experience. Jerod Mayo had nobody he could lean on. And the other part of this is, like Vrabel being out there played a role in that. Kraft knows Mike Vrabel so well that when Mike Vrabel was still the head coach in Tennessee, he came to New England to be inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame and sat next to Kraft while being the sitting head coach of the Tennessee Titans, sat next to Kraft in the owner's box, watching the Patriots play, goes onto the field at halftime and tells the fans, like, hey guys, quiet down. We got a game to go win. And like, I can see how that ruffled the feathers in Tennessee. That was abnormal, but it speaks to, I think, the relationship between Kraft and Vrabel, and part of the reason that Kraft was willing to pivot to Vrabel as quickly as he did.
It's a pretty wild journey that this offense has dealt with in the postseason, and it's been messy at times. There's been weather as a factor. There's been turnovers from Drake Maye, but to go from the Chargers defense to the Texans to the Broncos, and now you've got Seattle, and like, how much concern would there be about the left side of the line, which has been a little spotty here with Will Campbell, Drake Maye's turnovers, like the fact that like him on the ground saved them on offense. Like, this Seattle defense wants to scramble you and take away the run. Like, are they complete enough to hang around with a Seahawks team that is just so explosive? Like, they could suddenly put up 21 points in a quarter, depending on what happens against a good Patriots defense. But does it feel like an uneven matchup on that side of the ball?
I think that's the side of the ball that dictates the game. Like, whoever wins, I think, will win on that side of the ball. That's where both teams' strengths are. That's where you've got to win the game. The Seahawks have been such an unbelievable defense all year. The Patriots, I still can't believe it. I still double check it all the time, even when I'm writing my stories and about to say first in EPA per play, led the league in EPA per play. I still feel like I have to double check that stat, even though I've written it 100 times, because it's just so mind boggling that this Patriots team that we watched last year had the best offense in the NFL per EPA per play. Schedule played into that, of course, but it has not been like that in the playoffs. And yes, 6 quarters of it were kind of in snowy, bad conditions. The other 6 quarters were totally fine, and they still weren't very good in those 6 quarters. And so that's a real problem. The left side of the line has a 21-year-old left tackle, a 22-year-old left guard for a 23-year-old quarterback. Like, that's another example of how far ahead of this team is on their schedule, because this is supposed to be a team that's just building right now. This was a rebuilding year. And so that part scares me for sure. Against the Texans, they just got smoked. Like, that left side of the line was not very good. And so if the Seahawks do what they often do and dominate up front with just 4 and they're not sending a blitz, like, the Patriots still don't have wide receivers that are going to go out and beat you one-on-one and are going to wreck your game plan, even though they've been good passing offense. They have the number 1 explosive passing offense in the league this year based off 16 plus passes. Kayshon Boutte has been a big deep threat, but it's not like it's different from Matthew Stafford kind of picking apart the Seahawks slowly down the field, hitting Puka for 8-yard games. That's not the Patriots game. They're going to try to take those deep shots because Drake has been such a good deep ball thrower, but the Seahawks have been so good with those 2 high shells and sitting back and taking that away. And that's kind of why I think that side of the ball will determine this game.
I mean, again, it boggles the mind, right? That Stephon Diggs, who was coming off a torn ACL, who in training camp, you wouldn't have been surprised if you quietly heard that Diggs was cut because he had this stuff going on with his personal life and missed the beginning of some practices or something, as I recall now. And then he went on and became one of the most efficient, best wide receivers in the league this season. So you have another like 1 out of 10, like in terms of disaster to perfection, 15 out of 10 outcome here. So I expect Diggs to make big plays in this game because he made them all season. One player I just want to ask you about, because I understand why Ramondre Stevenson kind of became the capital T, capital M, the man in the backfield during the playoffs. They trust him to pick up a blitz, that he's put his fumble issues in the rear view for the time being. But, you know, Ramondre Stevenson, TreVeyon Henderson, really took off at times in this season. And I'm wondering if you see him reasserting himself in this game plan in a game in which the Patriots are going to have to be more explosive offensively than they have, because this is not like what the teams you were beating in the AFC. You're going to have to score some points most likely here. Do you see him finding a bigger role in this game?
Well, it's fascinating because they are such different players in what they are, at least right now, where TreVeyon Henderson, he'll miss some open holes. They'll have 4 yards blocked up and he'll get you 0. And then you'll have 4 yards blocked up and he'll get you 0. And that'll happen a few times and it just drives the coaching staff nuts on the sideline. And then you'll have 2 yards blocked up and he'll get you 55. And it's like, they're trying to balance how is that worth it? Is that okay to keep doing? And I think against this Seahawks team, it might be. Like, we'll see what Sam Darnold is doing offensively, but the Patriots like where their defense is at right now. And so if you get into a low-scoring game, maybe you're more okay rolling out TreVeyon Henderson of like, all right, hey, maybe you're not going to get everything that's blocked up here, but we do trust that at least at some point in this game, you're going to take nothing and turn it into a 35-yard gain. And that's what he's capable of. So that's both why he hasn't played a ton, but also this Patriots offense, even though they ranked first in explosive passes, it's not an explosive running game. So against a Seahawks group that even though they play with a lot of light boxes, they are still a really good run defense because they just have big dudes up front. And they're like, fine, we're going to put an extra corner on the field because we think our big dudes are better than your big dudes.
It's a team where if you wanted to diagnose big problems out of the gate in the summer, Terrell Williams, the defensive coordinator, dealing with a sickness and illness that's very serious and he's out for the year. Zach Kerr comes in and I just talk about a little bit about what he's done because that's a huge challenge to take on. And they're not here without this defense and to get Robert Spillane back potentially for this game. Like how did that process play out and how has it worked so well?
It's totally insane and has not been talked about nearly enough. Like this should be a blasting in headlines. The Patriots lost their defensive coordinator to cancer. Not lost him, but he had to step away to deal with cancer. Thankfully, he's cancer-free. It just came out. But while he's gone, Mike Vrabel has to figure out, what am I going to do at defensive coordinator? Like, he likes not calling the plays because then he can get into that game management role and make sure he's on top of everything and he's super active on the sideline. They don't have a ton of experience back there. So he goes to this guy, Zach Kerr, who is in his very first year as a position coach. He's the inside linebackers coach. He's never led his own position group in the NFL before. This was already a big promotion for him. That I don't think he's getting this job at other spots, but he's got a relationship with Vrabel. Vrabel tells him this in week 2. And to hear Zach say it, like, his head is okay. I'm like, I thought I was going to coach 2 guys on the field at once. And now you want me to figure out when we're blitzing, what our third down package is, what the hell we're going to do in the red zone. And so his head is spinning. He's talking to Vrabel like, okay, do I go to the booth? Do I do the sideline? Like, he's just so brand new to all of this, does not know what he does not know. And yet, as the season gets along, the Patriots switch up what they're doing. At first, they blitz a ton. Then they don't blitz at all. Then now back in the playoffs, they're back to blitzing a ton. They've mixed up their coverages. They were a zone-heavy team for a while. Then they went man-heavy. Now they're back to zone-heavy. So I think what's been impressive is that it would have been very easy for Zach Kerr in that spot to just be like, hey, we're going to be a cover 4 team. We're going to master this. We're going to do what we do well. And instead, somehow, he's kind of been a spin the wheel defensive coordinator. Like, okay, this is what's best for this matchup. So this is what we're going to do this week. And I think that's really impressive for a guy who had no coordinator experience at the NFL level before.
Yet another 15 out of 10 outcome for this special Patriots team, and a 15 out of 10 appearance by Chad Graff of The Athletic. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck for the rest of the week and enjoy it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Go Huskies. Thank you, Chad. And we'll be right back after this break.
Finding a doctor you actually like feels like discovering a diamond in the rough. Sure, you want someone in-network, nearby, and with open appointments, but that's just the baseline. You also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, calms your nerves, tells you it's going to be okay, maybe even still gives you a lollipop, even though you're a full-grown adult, Dan.
Oh, yeah, Mark. And guess what? The dream doctor does exist, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors with more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states. Whether you need primary care, dental, dermatology, eye care, or one of 200-plus specialties, you can search by specialty or symptom and build the care team that's right for you.
Absolutely, Dan. You can book in-person visits or video visits, read thousands of verified patient reviews, see real-time availability, and book instantly. No phone tag. Appointments typically happen within 24 to 72 hours, and sometimes even the same day. Dan and I use ZocDoc, and you should too.
Absolutely. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/heed to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/heed. ZocDoc.com/heed. Thanks, ZocDoc, for sponsoring this message.
Hi, this is Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst, certified financial planner, and the host of the Jill on Money podcast. With the new year upon us, there's no better time to take control of your financial life. And the Jill on Money podcast is here to help. It's your questions that make it possible for me to provide unconventional and, I hope, entertaining insights on your money and, more importantly, on your life. Follow and listen to Jill on Money wherever you get your podcasts.
With the big game coming up, I've been spending a little time checking out Webull, which you might know as an investment app. Webull is an investment app I've used for years, and they've recently rolled out sports event contracts, which are part of their prediction markets just in time for the big game.
Yeah, if event contracts are new to you, the easiest way to think about them is trading on clearly defined outcomes rather than traditional betting. There are no fixed odds. Instead, the price reflects how likely the market believes that outcome is at any given moment. Each contract settles at $1 if the outcome happens, or $0 if it doesn't. And those prices can change in real time as new information comes in. Injuries, in-game momentum, coaching decisions, all the same stuff we're already talking about every week on this show. So if you're someone who's constantly thinking about game flow, matchups, and probabilities, it's interesting to see how a market reacts to that same football information in real time, Dan.
That's right, Mark. All of this happens on Webull's platform, which operates as a registered futures commission merchant, meaning these contracts trade in a regulated environment. If you're curious to explore it, you could download the Webull app by heading to webull.com/K/heed-the-call-pod. That link is also in the pod description and gets you a $5 voucher. Once you're in the app, just go to predictions, tap sports, pick the league you're interested in, and you could view the available event contracts there. And around the big game, Webull is offering $0 in commission on all trades for big game related event contracts. That means no commission on the executed trade, though exchange fees still apply. So claim your $5 voucher and step into the big game with Webull by heading to webull.com/K/heed-the-call-pod.
That's webull.com/K/heed-the-call-pod. As always, this is speculative and not for everyone, but if you already follow the NFL closely and like to think in probabilities, it's another way to observe how markets process the game in real time.
Just the baby, right? A lot of turtle nesting going on around here. Out here at Spots Beach and the beautiful Caymans. All right, just taking a look around. It's pretty cool. Good day. Nice and calm. Anytime you see turtles, man, it always puts a smile on your face.
Never a bad day. Never a bad day for Brian Baldinger. We're joined by Odyssey NFL insider Baldy, host of the Best Football Show podcast. Insider Calls brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Baldy, never a bad day.
No, they're not allowed. No bad days. I mean, you got 3 days between the Senior Bowl and got to go to San Francisco for the Super Bowl. Let's go to the Caymans. You know, I mean, it's a real short flight, and the weather was perfect, and the diving is fantastic. So, I mean, why wouldn't you go?
I got to ask you, that was randomly the first thing that I looked at when I awoke this morning, and it was very calming to see this beautiful turtle below the water. And what does it do to you? Because you're up above the water most of the time. Like, what does it do to a man's psyche or your psyche to spend time with underwater beings like that? Most people will never see that in their lives.
Very nice.
No, it's very zen. You know, without like you're doing it in meditation, it just puts you into a zen state. Turtles, you know, they live a long, long time. They live a long life, you know, and so, but you know, we all can learn a lot just by their pace, how slow they move, how gracefully they move. You know, they seemingly are never attacked. They just have a very peaceful existence. It puts you into that frame of mind.
I like it.
If only we could all exist in that way.
Yes.
So, Baldy, we got the Hula Bowl, we got the American Bowl, we got the Senior Bowl, but let's talk the big one. Let's talk the Super Bowl. And Patriots, Seahawks, a rematch of the same game 11 years ago, two very different teams with totally different casts. Let's look at it from both sides. Let's start from the Patriots side because I think they're the decided underdog here. What do they need to do to win this game?
They've been playing great defense, throughout the whole year. And people said, oh, it's a soft schedule. But they beat Buffalo, and they beat Houston, and they beat the Chargers badly, and they get through the AFC Championship game in Denver. I mean, their defense has been there all year long. And, really the way it was constructed, I think Elliott Wolf's done a great job with Mike Vrabel, just the additions, whether it was Milton Williams or Landry or Spillane, and then the draft was very, very good for him. So, and then, the development of Drake Maye into this bona fide star quarterback who has not had the best of postseasons, but he also has been very good gaining first downs by just running, extending plays. The longest run of the postseason is Drake Maye of 37 yards, put him in field goal range with seconds to go against the Chargers. That really helped him. And just his maturity and just his decision-making has been outstanding. I think all those things, and then just the play calling of Josh McDaniels, like he's on his game with how he is calling these games right now, knowing that he's got a defense that's keeping him in every game.
Will Campbell, their left tackle, has had some issues in the playoffs. Overall, we get it. This is an incredibly talented player, but Jared Wilson as well. You are going up against a nasty Seahawks front, and I'm sure that they're watching all that tape and they see what other people have seen. Does the Drake Maye on the ground factor help offset maybe some of the issues that a Campbell would face in this game? Are you concerned about the left side of the line? Let's put it there.
I don't think they're going to see Nick Bonito on the road in Denver, and I don't think they're going to see Will Anderson, who is as good as anybody in this league, off the edge. I don't think they're going to see those kind of guys in Seattle. Now, they've, Tank Lawrence, Boye Mafe. I mean, they have quality rushers, but they seem to really enjoy just collapsing a pocket, and squeezing it rather than just guys who are just winning one-on-ones. Whether it's Byron Murphy or, Leonard Williams, whatever. They just kind of collapse the pocket. They will blitz off the edge on occasion, especially with Witherspoon, to get, try to heat the quarterback up quickly. But I don't think we're going to see Will struggle the way he did in those two games against Denver and against Houston.
You look at the Patriots offense as a whole, 16 points against the Chargers, but their defense balled out. Herbert struggled. Offensive line was overmatched. The Texans, they managed less than 250 yards of offense, but again, their defense steps up. Again, the opposing quarterback struggles. That time, C.J. Stroud. The Broncos game, it's hard to make sense of what with that game because of the weather conditions, obviously, especially in the onset of the second half. But, they finished with 10 points there. The only touchdown was off a turnover deep in their own territory. Do you have any concerns about New England's offense going into this game? Because Seattle's obviously the defense that's thrived this year, and New England hasn't played its best ball during January.
I have concerns, but I think if you protect, well enough up front, which I think they're capable of doing. Morgan Moses had a great season. So I think if you protect well enough up front, there's going to be opportunities to get the ball to Diggs or to Butte or, Hunter Henry. They're not going to have the climate issues that they had in both games, with the snow falling and the frigid temperatures and all that. So I think, and if you look at just the play of Trevion Henderson this year, I mean, I think he's got either 4 or 5 runs of 50-plus yards. They could pop a run, for an explosive play. So I think their offense will be better than we've seen the last 2 games. But really, the Chargers were a great defense. And look, Seattle's, by rankings, the number 1 ranked defense. But we just saw, the Rams put up a big number on them and move the ball effectively. I don't think Drake Maye can be expected in any way to do what, Matt Stafford did. But I think they'll have more opportunities than what we have seen the last couple of weeks.
Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
You know, if you look at Seattle, how important is it? And on this show, we stan Sam Darnold. We support him. We want to see him. We love what just happened. It's a great NFL story. It's almost tragic to think it couldn't end with a happy ending. But how important is it for the Sam Darnold experience, the whole part of it, to get out to a pretty much mistake-free, strong start, to settle in and just be what he's been, especially in that NFC title game?
Well, I mean, it's always important. It's not to undermine the question, but that's always important. I mean, if you look at how Denver lost on a play. You call a boneheaded play, but it's a play that a lot of quarterbacks would make under pressure. And, the ball's fumbled, and it gives the Patriots great field position. They scored their only touchdown, on a Drake May run. You don't want to give them any short fields, where they can score easily like that, a quarterback draw like Drake May, ran against Denver. So I think that's important. But, whatever happens with Sam in this game, unless it's a complete disaster, which I don't see happening. But, you would talk to anybody in Seattle. They'll tell you that they're on the precipice of this championship because of Sam. Not in spite of Sam, but because of Sam. And they've got the league's leading receiver, in Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. And we've seen the emergence of Rashid Shaheed since the trade deadline. And in and how he has moved the ball. And he's done his part throughout. Now, yeah, he had 20, turnovers during the season, and he was guilty on putting the ball on the ground, and that has traveled with him since he left USC. So you don't want to see that happen. But if it does, the team has been good enough to overcome those turnovers this year. And so I just feel like this is a really united team. And if Sam does make a mistake early and it leads to points, I just think the team will rally around him, and you won't see any splintering whatsoever. Regardless of how Sam plays.
Yeah, I thought it was, probably a relief for him, but then also probably for all of us too, that Darnold plays so well in that NFC title game. So it's not 2 weeks of talk about whether Darnold's good or not. It's like kind of, if you needed any other more evidence, the NFC Championship game, he put that team on his back and got him to the Super Bowl. So, it's already, it takes a lot of the heat off him a little bit in terms of that being buzzing around him. He seems like a guy that shuts it out anyway. They didn't run the ball as well in that NFC title game with Zach Charbonnet out. Like, how much do you think that hurts their offensive attack, not having that two-headed monster with Walker and Charbonnet?
Alani seems pretty good. I mean, he's not Charbonnet, but he played a good role in just taking some of the carries off of Kenneth Walker. I thought Walker had some good runs in the game, and he's been a beast in the postseason, and he's got 2 weeks of rest. I mean, I think if they got if they need to literally lean on Kenneth Walker right here in the postseason, and, this Super Bowl game where he needs 25 touches, I think he can give you 25 touches. I haven't seen anything that says he's wearing down in any way, and he gets to freshen up here. So I think they're going to ride him pretty hard. I mean, he can still make people miss. He's excellent out of the backfield. He had the 4 touchdowns in the first 2 playoff games. And so, I think he's a really integral part of this entire offense, especially, even how they run screens to him. They're excellent in the screen game. They don't run a lot of them, but when they do run them, they seem to be very effective. And so I feel like he's going to have a real role, an important role in Seattle's offense in this game.
I totally agree with you on that one. I got to ask, you're going to zoom into San Francisco, a town of incredible restaurants and fare and nightlife. What's on the dance card if you don't have to reveal everything, but who do you eat with? Who do you hang around with? What's on the schedule for the evening time?
Can it be?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm staying in a hotel not far from Union Square. So, I mean, it's walking distance. And, the Moscone Center is right there on the corner. So I imagine I'm going to spend probably 18 to 24 hours a day in that stretch right there. If I get out, I know Lane Johnson and Chris Long are looking to get together one night. I can see myself maybe joining that group and hanging out and probably talking about anything but football, just because they're so interesting. Maybe the length of Lane's beard at this point, just what's growing inside it, could be a topic of conversation. I usually do make it to Ditka's and Jaw's cigar party. That's always
every year.
So I don't know if there's going to be a lot more than that at this point, right now.
But as a former offensive lineman, like the linemen, those guys are power drinkers. Like those guys, is it possible to go there? Like Liam Gallagher, singer of Oasis, someone asked him like, oh, you like to go out and just have a pint with friends every once in a while. I was like, no, I never understood the idea going out to have a pint. I'm either going out and I'm tying one on, or I'm not going out. Like there's no such thing as I have one beer and I go home. Like when you're hanging out with linemen, is it a similar mentality where you got to strap it on?
Well, if the day says, the night says 20 Coronas, I know I can handle 20 Coronas without, and I can and I can do all the tests. Like, I know that's not a problem. Right. Now, if it gets to that, if it's interesting, and it's fun, like 20 could go down pretty quick, because once they start going down, it's like drinking water.
Right.
So, now if other things get involved, if agave gets, worked into the equation here,
of course,
that might change like the pace a little bit. Right. But sometimes that can be a fun change up too.
And you guys aren't eating like tilapia or anything either. It's usually there's a big steak involved. This is just how we picture an offensive lineman hang.
I don't think anybody should eat tilapia. Like, I just don't think it's healthy, period. But I think steak is I'm a carnivore. I think steak is healthy for every meal. So I feel very good about that. Yes.
All right. You've done it all, Baldy. You've said it all. And I hope you have an incredible week at the Super Bowl. Have a great one, bud.
Yeah. I have one question, guys.
Yeah.
We all have been a part of the European broadcast on Sky over the years. Like, this Aiden Durda is really interesting to me. Like, have you guys had him on your show at all?
We haven't yet, but it's funny because our buddy, I don't know if you know Henry Hodgson at all,
sure.
Who's a big figure in the NFL UK side. He had actually said you guys should reach out and get involved and learn more about him because it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember doing NFL Europe games when he was playing for the Claymores, and then the Hamburg Sea Devils when it was all in Germany, and then Dan Quinn, fell in love with the guy, when he was in Atlanta, defensive line coach in Dallas. Like, his rise it's not meteoric, but, it is pretty interesting to come from that background and to see where he's at right now.
Yeah, this will be good. I feel like this week will be good for him to get a little more, people are going to be curious about a British defensive coordinator for a Super Bowl team.
Right on.
Yeah, I know Mike McDowell gets all the attention, and rightfully so. It's his defense, but Aiden's running it for him. So, I don't know. I just thought, we all have been part of that Sky thing. Like, maybe Aiden would be a good guy to talk to. I'd like to see him. If I get a chance this week, I'm going to talk to him.
Yeah, Justin, we got Baldy coming for your producer corner over there, so you watch out. That was a good idea. We're going to use that.
All right, yeah, put him on the list.
Thank you, Baldy. Have a great week.
You bet, man. Take care.
Thanks.
That, of course, was none other than Odyssey NFL insider Brian Baldinger, host of the Best Football Show podcast. Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. All right, there he goes, Baldy, a hero to all. And he makes a good point. Like, Aiden Durd, the first British defensive coordinator in the history of the National Football League. What a story that is. And maybe, like, it's being slept on a little bit, Cessy, here, because as Chad mentioned, you also have Core with the Patriots, another defensive coordinator that maybe is not getting as much pub, especially in this week when every storyline gets magnified. These are two really interesting stories this year.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think where we were like 10 years ago and to have someone from the UK operating as an NFL defensive coordinator, because it means that we're not far away from someone from the UK operating as a head coach at some point in the league, which would be groundbreaking and wild. And so in a sport that's growing internationally, this is a huge story, maybe not as much during Super Bowl week as it should be, but it's a huge story overseas.
Yeah, and I've long thought that Henry Hodgson, Handsome Hank, Grand Poobah over there of the NFL UK, would be a great successor to Roger Goodell. So there is a chance of a British invasion that gets a little over the top, and we might have to step in and put some guardrails on it. But for now, I think we could celebrate it as progress and the NFL becoming a global celebration. You know what I mean?
That's when Henry stops texting us back.
Right. Starts like firing copyright claims at us. So
exactly.
Just keep an eye on all of it. Mark, good job in the trivia today. I know that wasn't that brought you even more anxiety than I expected, but you almost stuck the landing. And I do now think that because it is Ricardo Lockett, if you just said lock it, maybe you would have been the victor. And now I'm the one facing anxiety and panic because the old Sessler army of all your sycophants are going to be like, Mark should have won, and the Philly special's the greatest play of all time. Shut up, all of you.
No, you shut up, because they're not sycophants. They're correct on the Philly special. I would be surprised if they tried to formulate an argument about my involvement in this trivia contest. It was a hardcore B- at best, and I'm lucky to even have gotten 4 right, I think. That's where I'll leave it. Like, it was a death-defying way to open an hour-plus long show.
You did great. Yes, a B-. That checks out. I like it, Mark. I'm proud of you. And next year, I'll do the trivia challenge, and the pressure will be on the old Zuzzer.
Oh yeah, you will.
All right. Tomorrow, Thursday, as we get closer to the big game, Connor Orr rejoins us. Also, our great friend Arif Hassan will join us to preview the big game as we really dig into the matchup. Patriots, Seahawks. Cannot wait. And make sure you're there. Till next time, do what you must. Heed the call.
Guys, by now you've heard me talk about Collars & Co., makers of the dress collar polo. They've already sold over 1 million of these amazing shirts. Well, Collars & Co. just came out with the new Maverick Performance Blazer. This blazer is sharp and wrinkle resistant, so you can travel anywhere with it. Just throw it in your bag and it will remain wrinkle-free. It even comes with security zip pockets, a sunglasses loop, and an optional pocket square. So visit collarsandco.com and use code TIKI for 20% off at collarsandco.com.
Those trendy prebiotic sodas, they do absolutely nothing without enough good bacteria in your gut. Hi, I'm Tina, co-founder of Just Thrive Probiotic, the only probiotic proven to arrive 100% alive. See, most probiotics die in your stomach acid, but Just Thrive survives, giving you real relief from gas and bloat, healthy immunity, better sleep, and clear skin. Plus, Just Thrive comes with a lifetime money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Visit justthrivehealth.com/podcasts and use code POD20 for 20% off. Take control of your health today with Just Thrive.